Hi, this is Matthew Warner, and this is a demonstration of a game my family created during COVID named Juhyo. Juhyo is the Japanese term for snow monsters, and it was invented really to describe what happens to pine trees on Mount Zhao. Um, just pine trees freeze up and form ice crystals, and they kind of look like snow monsters. So the concept of the game, it's a trick-taking card game where each suite is a type of snow monster. Um, and the snow monsters then take the configuration of monsters that you're familiar with, like ghosts and werewolves and vampires, um, Bigfoot, Ninjan. I don't know if you've heard of a Ninjan, but most people have heard of a Kraken. There's a Kraken snow monster. There's meddling kids. We all have to be on the lookout for them during horror movies. Crossroads musician. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here that Dina Warner and my kids came up with. So we haven't really fronted the money to print enough for people to buy. So instead of buying the card game in this form, there is an online game that for now you can play. It's at dinawarner.net. So actually go here, dinawarner.net/Juhyo, Juhyo. This page here on the website will explain all the rules. And there is an online game that I spent a ridiculous amount of time programming in JavaScript so that you can play as if you were one player in a four-person game on this table here against these three little monster opponents. So let's go through how to play the game, and then I will play an online game for you. When the game begins, each player plays their lowest numbered troublemaker. Troublemaker is one of the suits. It's these green cards right here that goes from here all the way up to the trickster, which is number 10. So each player has to play their lowest numbered troublemaker, and this is basically to decide who's going to then lead the next trick. So in this example play, Pan is the highest number of the lowest number of cards that was played. So there was a 1, a 2, a 6, and a 0. So whoever played the 6 then is going to lead the next trick. So he starts a new trick, which in this game we call a battle. And similar to hearts, you lead a suit, and everyone has to follow suit unless they don't have any cards in their hand within that suit. So in this particular case, the three of troublemakers, which is the gremlin, was led. The next player played a 9. The third player did not have a troublemaker, so he played in a different suit, which was Gothic. He played the 10, which is a witch. And then the fourth player played an 8. And since player number 2 had the highest value in the suit that was led, he takes the trick, or he wins the battle, you could say. So now player 2, he leads, and he decides he's going to stick with the Gothics. So he leads the 2. The next player plays a 3, an 8, and a 9, and then player number 4 wins the trick because he had a 9. So sounds easy so far. So now this is where the rules get really kind of nuts. We have a trump suit called the Hunters, Monster Hunters, and they're not really trump suit. It's not like that you can just play one of these and automatically necessarily win the trick. They're really trump suit by virtue of their high point values, because all of the cards in the Hunter suit are going to have usually higher point values of every other card that's played. So you can pretty much assume they're going to be like a trump card. But like a trump suit, say you're playing hearts. You can't play a heart until hearts have been broken, until they've been played by somebody else. And hunters is sort of the same way. So you can't lead with a hunter until hunters have been broken. And the way someone may throw a hunter on the table would be back in this situation up here, let's say that troublemakers were the suit, and player 3 didn't have a troublemaker, but instead of playing a gothic, as in this example, he played a hunter. So then the hunter is broken. You will hear glass being broken, so then you will actually know that hunters have been broken. So, for example, 3 of troublemakers of lead. 2 plays a 9, 3 plays a 7, but the 4th player doesn't have one, so he plays the 19, which is a hunter, and he obviously has a higher point value of the others, and he wins. There are other trick cards. So if somebody has taken a slime within one of the tricks, then they're going to lose 20 points. So there's various ways that this could happen. So for example, 2 of Gothic was lead, and then you had to follow with a 3, and Slime is a Gothic, and you had to play. You didn't have any other Gothics to play, and then a 10 was played. So whoever had the highest point value in the Gothic suit, then he's going to take the Slime, and then he's going to lose 20 points. By the same token, this could really go badly for player 3. Let's say that the only Gothic he had to play was the Slime, and someone else led with a Gothic, and he throws it down there. So he's going to end up with the highest point value, so he's going to have to lose. Slime is a great card to get rid of if you can. Cause other people to get negative point values, but if you end up with it, then it's going to result with a negative point value for you. The next kind of special card is the Siren Head. I'll go back over here to the online gallery and show you where she is. She's right here. She's right here, the 23. She's a hunter and she's a cryptid at the same time. So these are all my hunter cards, but we're showing here within the cryptid suit because whether she is considered a hunter or a cryptid depends on how and when she's played. If you lead with her, then she counts as a cryptid, and everyone else has to follow suit with cryptids. In any other circumstance, she would be a hunter. So let's say, for example, somebody leads with the Siren Head. It's considered a cryptid, so everyone else has to follow suit as a cryptid, and she has the highest point value, so you take the trick. This is an example of just a Siren Head functioning normally, sort of as a hunter. Someone throws a 10, a 2, you throw a 23 down, someone else throws 15, and you get the highest point value. Another special card is the Shapeshifter. Shapeshifter is a troublemaker. You can see it's right down here at the front of the troublemaker suit, but it doesn't really have a point value. Its value is null. And what it does is that when you throw it down on the table, it becomes the previous card that was thrown down. So, for instance, someone throws down the 4, which is the Monkey King. Someone else throws down the 10 of Troublemakers, which is the Trickster. Player 3 follows suit with the Shapeshifter, but because it's the Shapeshifter, it changes actually into the Trickster. And then player 4 throws down the 6. So because Shapeshifter became the Trickster, it's the highest point value now, and it wins the hand. This one's a little more complicated. Someone leads the 5 of cryptids. The Mothman, number 2, follows suit with the 2, with a 10. Player 3 doesn't have any cryptids, so he throws down a 17 of hunters, a witcher, thinking he's going to win the trick. But player 4, who also doesn't have a cryptid, throws down the troublemaker and the Shapeshifter, and when he becomes the Shapeshifter becomes the Witcher, and then he wins. The same thing here. Illuminati is a special card we'll get down to at the bottom, but the Illuminati is sort of the ultimate trump card that no one can win. It has infinite value. You see the little infinity symbol there. But in this case, again, the Shapeshifter becomes Illuminati, and it wins the trick. Down here, Shapeshifter becomes the Gremlin, which is the lead, so he becomes the 3, but player 4 has the 10, and it takes the trick. So let's talk about Illuminati. Illuminati is an infinite value, which means it's going to beat anything. It's also in all of the suits, so it can follow anything that's been led. 3, 6, 7 of troublemakers. Player 4 didn't have any troublemakers, so he played Illuminati, and he won, obviously. But here, player 2 throwed the Illuminati down, and he's immune to hunters, so, because he has infinite value, really, and then he wins. Sort of the same thing happens right there. Now, as if things aren't complicated enough, we have a special hunter here, number 18. This is called Klutzy Detective. Klutzy Detective reverses all the scoring rules of the cards that are on the table for that trick. So you think you're going to win, and unless you've thrown an Illuminati, which is immune to all hunters, which would include Klutzy Detective, whoever you thought was going to win is actually going to lose, and whoever had the weakest card on the table is going to win. So, Klutzy Detective, he's the lowest. If he's the lowest card play, he wins. If there are any cards lower than him, they win. So here's an example: 2 of cryptids, 7 of cryptids, 10 of cryptids. You would think that the 10 of cryptids is going to win. And then we have the player 4 plays the Klutzy Detective as an 18. It is the highest value on the table, but it doesn't win because it reverses the scoring rules, and so the 2 of cryptids wins. Here, 20, 45, 18, and 21, all of hunters. The Klutzy Detective is the weakest card on the table. I mean, it wins. Here, however, as I said, Illuminati is immune to all the others, so even though Klutzy Detective was thrown down, Illuminati still wins. Headless Horseman here wins because it's actually the weakest card on the table. This is a kind of a special case. So, like, we have the 4 of Troublemakers, followed by the 8 of Cryptids and the 8 of Gothic. So we have 2 8s. So the second equivalent point value that's thrown down is then considered to be weaker than the first equivalent point value that was thrown down. But then 18 is thrown down, the Klutzy Detective, and so the last one played wins. Bunker is yet another special card. It doesn't have any point value, but it can completely negate the playing of 2 of the highest valued hunters, Catastrophe and Apocalypse. So when this one is thrown down, it cancels the point values of those as if they weren't even on the table. Bunker is also a special card that you can throw it on to the table at any time. You don't have to follow suit. So let's say that someone's thrown a whole bunch of these cards on the table and the only one you have is Slime, but you don't want to follow suit with Slime, but you also have Bunker in your hand. You could throw that down instead. So for example, Bunker negates Catastrophe. So it's like they're not even on the table. So the highest card on the table in this case is Librarian. Here, Bunker negates Catastrophe and Apocalypse, so the only card really that's left on the table is the 11. That's the lead. In this case, Bunker doesn't have anyone on the table. This is an example where player 4 wanted to avoid winning the battle because they saw Slime, so they threw it down, so the highest value on the table was 8.5, Slime. The way scoring is eventually going to work is that for every trick that you collect, you get 10 points, unless you get the slime, in which case you lose 20. In a 4-player game, the first person to 300 points wins the game, so you're just going to continue to play hands until you get up to there. Another way that scoring can happen is through these bunny and net combinations. They call it the special prey rules. So some cards are marked with a net icon, some are marked with the bunny icon. So the net cards want to capture the bunny cards, and only certain ones go together. And it doesn't matter if you've actually won the trick in order to get the points. So for example, in this right here, the balladeer is winning the hand. And someone also coincidentally has the Cactus Cats card on the table, so he gets a 40-point bonus. But In the second example, player 3 wins, but he's not within this bunny net relationship, and yet player 4 still gets a point because player 4 played the crossroads musician, player 2 played the double, and those two go together, and player 4 gets a 40-point bonus. Shapeshifter, Bunker, Snowball, some of these other cards that can end up on the table can complicate the way all this happens. But in this particular example, player 3 did not have a troublemaker, which was the lead suit. So he played the 20 of Hunters, which was the Exorcist. Player 4 became the Exorcist. And Exorcist can collect an extra 40 points if he's on the same trick as the poltergeist. So exorcist and poltergeists go together, as we all know from the movie. I know this is a really complicated game, and there's one more thing I got to tell you about. It's these four cards. These are called enhancements. So after all these cards have been dealt out, players 1 through 4, each person gets one enhancement, and they can do special things to the gameplay. When you get down to the very last card within the 13 battles that happen, if you have an enhancement left in your hand, you have to play it on your card no matter what the consequences. So it's to your benefit to try to control the timing of it and do it earlier. So here's an example. If you play the 9 of something, any numbered card, and you have the harpoon, it'll add 3 to your value. The Doppelganger card is sort of like Harpoon, except it times the value of your card times 2. So if you had a 4 and you throw that on top of it, you have an 8. There's another special enhancement called a Snowball. It's a way to knock another player's card off the table. It can be played at any time during the battle. You don't, and like these other ones, you don't have to wait until it's your turn in order to start throwing your enhancement on the table on top of your card. So you could, if you decide that, let's say you accidentally threw the slime down for yourself and you don't want to take that negative 20 points and you happen to have the snowball at the same time, you can throw top of that. Sly Fox is another type of enhancement. It's just going to alter the play order. Let's say you don't want to play your card when it comes to your turn and you happen to have a Sly Fox. You can throw that down as a placeholder, and then it'll come back around to you, and then you can decide what you want to play. So it allows you to play last. This section right here explains the scoring. Again, you get 10 points for each battle you win, each trick that's on the table that you have taken. If you win 3, then you win 30 points, for example. The bonuses that can alter the scoring, or whoever got the slime is going to lose 20 points. There's the special prey cards, the bunny net relationships, that can result in a 40-point bonus. And then there's shooting the moon, which is winning no battles. You could get 50-point bonus. And in order to win, as I said, 4-player game goes up to 300 points. One other special thing, if 3 6s are played on the same battle, if you end up with a 666 value anywhere on the table, the game ends immediately. So, with all that being said, now we're going to work into a sample play. You could just take your time before you start the game by browsing through each of the cards and reading what they all are. It's just a little online carousel. And then when you're ready to start playing the game, you hit click to deal. You're going to be sitting here on the table and playing against players 2, 3, and 4. So you are the south player, west player, north player, east player is the way that they're referred to. And this is where all the scoring is going to take place up here. The game score, this is going to count up to 300. This is going to summarize what's happening during the current hand of 13 battles. So you might end up going through 2 or 3 hands for the entire game. And this summarizes what's going on for this particular battle / trick. What is the suit led? And this is just an ongoing scrolling commentary of gameplay. It says, welcome to Juhyo. Browse the deck below. Click the deal. Press click the deal to start the game, and you are the south player at the table. So I'm going to click this. So I just dealt out the enhancements. Now the dealer's dealing out the rest of the cards to everybody. These are the four. This is my hand that's down here. So these players cannot see what I have going on down here, and they each have their own hands. And the way that this is laid out, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I have my enhancement here. I have a harpoon. I have three troublemakers, three gothics. I have a cryptid, and the rest of the cards in my hand are hunters. So now I'm told to play the lowest numbered troublemakers. So all I got to do is hover my mouse over here, and the house and the cards that I am allowed to play according to the rules are just going to hover up like that, and you're going to see it appear over here. So I have to play my lowest numbered troublemaker. That appears. So this is going to explain everything that happens. South was me. I played Raven, which was a troublemaker of value 0. West followed that with Cocopelli, which was number 2. North played Eris, which was a 9. And East played Fairy, which is a 1. So the battle winner was North. He had the highest value in the suit lead. So I'm going to click next battle, and then North is going to lead. And then it'll just come around to me. So what's happened here is that North led 4 of cryptids, which was a Jersey Devil. East obviously does not have any cryptids except for a Siren Head. So he played a Siren Head, which in this case acts as if it's a cryptid, but it's also a hunter. So you heard that broken glass sound. Hunters are broken. So now it's my turn. I have to select a card to play. I'm going to hover over here. And you can see the only one I'm allowed to play right now is the cryptid. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that on the table. And now the game is asking me, do I want to play my harpoon? Because I have a harpoon card. If I wanted to right now, I could enhance my 9 of cryptids up to 12. It would be a 12 of cryptid. That wouldn't be a very good play right now because I know that Siren Head is most likely going to win. What would a 12 of cryptid benefit me over a Siren Head, which is already 23? So I'm going to say no. And this will ask me every single time as this comes around if I want to play this, because you can play your enhancement at any time. So again, it's asking me, do I want to play my harpoon? No, I don't want to turn that into a 12 of cryptid. I can see all the cards here on the table. There's no point in wasting my harpoon right now, so I'm going to say no. And East is 1 because it has the highest value in the suit that's been led, obviously. So East is going to lead the next hand. So I'm going to say next battle. And you can also see up here what's going on. So far we've played 2 battles. North 1-1 and East 1-1. When the entire hand of 13 battles is over, these will translate into 10 points apiece. East has led the Crossroads Musician, which is a hunter value of 14. He was able to lead with hunters because hunters have been broken. So I have to answer this with a hunter. And if I hover over my hand here, you'll see the only cards that are selectable are those in my hand that are hunters. I could play an 11, which would be underneath him, which would basically concede the hand to him. That might be a good strategic decision if I decided I wanted to shoot the moon by taking no hands. I'm not that good of a player though right now, so I'm not going to try it. I mean, I have a 45 and a 21, and it's might be unlikely that I'm going to win the suit. I could also, yeah, I can't play that right now. I have to follow suit. If I played a 45, I'm most definitely going to win here. I could play a 21, play it a little bit safe in case I get knocked out by somebody else's Snowball or something like that. I think I'm going to try that. I'm going to play a 21. Do I want to play my Harpoon, enhance it up to 24? No. West plays Paranormal Investigator, so he's in the lead now. I might want to play my Harpoon to win it, but let's see what North is going to do. North plays 16. If I let this go right now, if I say no, West is going to win. But in this case, I'm safe to play my Harpoon and win the trick. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So, what's happened here is that I played my Harpoon on my card, which made it go up to 24. North also had an enhancement. He had the Doppelganger, and of course he could play his enhancement at any time. So he saw me put the Harpoon down, and he said, "Nope, I'm going to put my Doppelganger on that." And he times his value times two, so he wins. North, Librarian, Hunter has the highest card value. So I had no control over that. I didn't know he had the Doppelganger, but he still won. So now he's going to lead the next battle. North has led one of cryptids. He led very low. Then Nessie played. I have no cryptids, so I have my choice. Which of these cards do I want to play? If I had the slime, which was the 8.5 of Gothics, that would be a good time to get rid of it right now and give somebody else the negative 20 points. I think that Nessie, there's a good chance that he's going to win unless somebody else throws the 10. So instead of throwing one of these hunters down, I'm going to throw the Shapeshifter. The Shapeshifter is going to become the previous card, which means that my card's going to become the 7. And you'll see once I throw it on the table, you'll see him sort of phasing in and out as if he were Nessie. So there we go. You see Shapeshifter is phasing in and out. He's becoming Nessie. So I'm actually Nessie right now. But West did have a higher value. I made a poor decision here. West won. He had the highest value in the suit led. So, oh well. West is going to lead next. This is just a pretty straightforward hand. West led 2 of Gothics. Then North, then East. The highest value on the table right now is 8. I'm pretty safe if I wanted to throw down the 10 right here because I would most likely win, and no one else has thrown the 8.5, which we haven't seen yet, so I'm not going to lose 20 points. The only way I might not win this right now would be if somebody threw the Snowball on my card and knocked it out. And the only person who would strategically benefit from that would be North. So if North has the Snowball and I play this and he knocks my card out, he would win. But we remember from a previous trick that he played a different enhancement, so I know he doesn't have Snowball. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. And I was right for once. South won. I had the highest value in the suit led, so now it's mine again. I'm not doing so great here. North is winning so far, and the rest of us all have one trick. So what am I going to lead with? If I lead any of these and Troublemaker comes out, like if somebody doesn't have a hunter, that's kind of taking a risk. So I think I'm going to play it safe here. I'm just going to get rid of that one. There we go. So North had the highest point value. He wins. Fine. Not seeing the slime yet. Someone's holding on to it. So here we come around again. Cryptids have been led. I have to answer with a cryptid, but I don't have a cryptid. I'm going to say whatever. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to play a hunter here and play the Witcher. Ooh, and I got lucky. I'm going to lead with, let's see, I'll lead with a 13 again. Playing a little bit risky. Haven't seen that slime yet. Apocalypse was the highest hunter on the value, so East has won. East is leading with troublemakers. I don't have a troublemaker. I'm going to play a hunter. Watch me get slimed. Oh. North had an Illuminati. So invoked when you cannot follow suit. So he didn't have any other troublemakers to follow suit. But Illuminati is considered otherwise to be in any other suit except for hunters. And he wins. So he just won. Illuminati trumps everything. He won the battle. This is interesting. Bunker is not actually in a suit. So even though North led, East then decides what is the suit led, which is Hunter. And this is going to be a complicated battle because 18 is going to reverse the value of everything. So Bunker is most likely going to win. It's the weakest value on the table. And I think just for the sake of showing you what the bunker does, I'm going to throw the catastrophe down. I'm not really trying to win this particular trick. I just want to show you what it does. When I throw that down, you're going to see an X appear over it because bunker cancels it out. So I think in that case, all that will leave basically on the table is Klutzy Detective and bunker, and then whatever West throws down. There you go. So you saw the bunker icon appear for a second over my card because bunker was canceling it out. Demonologist was West's card, and then to make things even more complicated at that point, East threw down the snowball. He snowballed North's card. So what that left was 18, 45, and 19. The weakest card on the table was East, which was Klutzy Detective. So East won. So East made a very effective use of its snowball. A lot of complicated things happening in that hand. I have to follow value with the Gothic. Um, do I want to not win the trick, or do I want to win the trick? Possibly. I'm going to try to win it. Oh, that was interesting. So West, he played his Sly Fox, which altered the play order. North then played Kraken, and then it went back to West again. He said, "Okay, I got to play something," so he played the 7, and he won. So here we are. Finally, the slime has come out. West led the Gothic suit. North didn't have any Gothic, so he threw a 2 cryptids. East didn't have any other choice. He threw his 8.5, his slime. So he's probably going to get stuck with his own slime, his negative point value, especially since I'm going to throw the 1, which is the only troublemaker that I have. So East won the trick because he had the highest value in the point lead, but he also ended up with the slime, which is going to give him a negative 20 points right off his game score immediately. So now in the next battle, everyone only has 1 card left. You're just going to throw whatever you have down. If I had an enhancement at this point, I would also have to throw the enhancement down on top of it. If my enhancement was a snowball, then at least I would have a choice as to whom I wanted to snowball. So I throw my Ghost Whisperer. Everyone's throwing everything out. The lead was Troublemaker. Ghost Whisperer has the highest card value, so that's me. So now all of these numbers that were here got transferred over to the game score. In the lead right now is North. He has 40 points. Then we have 20, 30, and 20. And the game will continue like this until we get up to 300 points. So I'm going to pause right here and I'm going to play up closer to 300. Here's just a little example from about halfway through the game. I played the bunker, which negated the apocalypse and the catastrophe cards as if they weren't on the table, but that threw the hand to West, which was 22. On the very next hand after that, Gothic was the lead suit, and I threw a 5 on top of these other cards that I thought I was going to win. And then after all 4 cards are on the table, West and East both played their enhancements. West played a Harpoon for 3 points, which increased his value to 6. East played Doppelganger, which times his 4 times 2, so he ended up winning with a value of 8. In this hand here, West led Klutzy Detective, which set the suit as Hunter. Everyone else followed suit. Within Hunters, I played an 11, and because my 11 of Hunters was the weakest card on the table, I won the trick. In this example, I led with the 10 of Troublemakers, which set the trick as Troublemakers. West answered with the Shapeshifter, so that turned him into 10. North and East played their Troublemakers, so West had the highest value Troublemaker on the table, so he won the trick. In this example, I led with a Gothic, and everyone followed suit, so it was a 0, an 8, and a 10. So East was going to win with his 10, but North enhanced the value of his 8, with his Doppelganger, which times the value up to 16. And East said, no, you don't. So he snowballed North's card, completely took them off the table. So then he won. In this example, all the cards have been played. I led with the Cryptid, and West has the highest point value, and he's about to win. But I'm going to play my Harpoon, which is going to increase my point value to 12. I say yes. And so now I win. South wins. So we're getting down to the end of the game. I have 250 points. And at the end of this hand, when the rest of these cards have been played, I pretty much think I'm going to win because I've taken 5 tricks so far. That would take my point value up to 300, which means I would win this 4-person game. So I'm just going to play through the end here. East has led. He's led with the Klutzy Detective. So the suit led is Hunter. You have to follow suit. I don't have any Hunters. But this also says that the weakest card on the table is going to win. So I'm going to play my weakest card, which is the Jackalope here. Let's see if I win. And I did. West played his Sly Fox, and then he came back with the Hunter of 16. So I do have the lowest card on the table. So I won this trick again. Got lucky. So I'm going to lead with another card. I'm going to lead with the 8. West and North and East, none of them have cryptids, although East played Illuminati, so he took all the cards on the table there. East is leading again with Hunter. I don't have any Hunters. There's no benefit to me playing a high card down here, so I'm playing my lowest one. And North won. He has the highest Hunter on the table. The suit led is Troublemaker. I can't follow with a Troublemaker, so I'll just play one of those cards. North has the highest Troublemaker on the table, so he wins the battle. And for the last one, Troublemakers, and North won the battle, but lost the war because we got to the end of the 13 tricks. All my points got translated over to the game score. I had the highest value over 300 at that point. And it says this hand is over, so when I click continue, it's going to score the game. And it says South wins the game with 310 points. If more than one player had been over 300 points at this point, then the person with the highest score over 300 would have won. And that is a complete game of Juhyo. You can also hit restart, which would then take us right back to here, and then you can click deal and just start all over again to your heart's content. I hope this video was helpful, and please send me a message if you have any questions. Thank you.